Hey, welcome back. Checkered Shorts, episode 51. Turned a corner. I reached the big milestone, and now we are off and running, ready for the 26th season. This week, we're going to have driver rankings to kind of preview the episode. We're trying to do it a little bit differently. So we're going to block them. We're going to go the bottom 21 through 27, our bottom dwellers. Then we're going to talk about our middle of the pack folks, those guys that's maybe that by team or have some off weeks or just can't have that consistency, but fall in that 11 through 20 range. And then we're going to have our top dogs, those top 10 guys. We might have some surprises in there, but there's probably going to be some familiar names as well. So before we do that, though, we got our history lesson for episode 51. So, Professor Dinwiddie, what do we have for episode 51?
Yeah, we're getting into numbers now that get it a little more difficult. But first thing I thought of when I heard 51 was our man Dale Coyne. And I was really hoping that we would get an official announcement because Dale has run that number 51 car for several years now. We've had all kinds of people in it, from Taku to Grosjean, which hopefully that's what we're getting back again, to Jacob Abel in the Miller High Life car, to our Miller Light car. We've had, a little bit of everybody in that 51, but Dale, I always think of Dale as, and I know he's got millions and millions of dollars, but I always think of him as the everyman's man of IndyCar. Like, he's the guy that is in the shop, got a wrench in his hand and a hammer, and he's doing work, and he's just a good old boy, and has been in the sport for a long time. Like, it's never highly funded. He pretty much pays for it himself. He's got lots of connections that help him, but ultimately, he just kind of has kept the sport, kept his cars and the sport going for, as long as he's been in it. So 1951 500, though, real quick, Lee Wallard won that. Not well known, kind of a Cinderella. They call him the Cinderella man of the 500 because nobody expected him to win. But one of the reasons he won that one was because at the end of that race, there were 8 cars running of the 33 that started. It was a really hot day, and they were running record speeds, and so there was just a heavy toll on the engines and the parts. And so 8 cars finished. Lee came across first.
Nice. I think Palou ran for Dale, didn't he?
He did.
Yes, yeah, did. I think it was 2020. Is that right?
2020. Yep.
I don't know if a lot of people remember that. It seems like he just started with Ganassi and started dominating. Yeah. But there was a time before that he came from Super Formula, I think, or something. Jumped right in, and then there you go.
Well, Dale's had some real success at the 500 too. I mean, he has not won, but Palou ran strong. Ed Jones, remember the year Ed finished in
that's right,
top 3, or Carlos Munoz maybe even had run at one point for Dale. So he's had some good strong runs at the 500.
The sport couldn't do it without Dale, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yes, with his longevity and doing a lot with a little, there's probably some of these teams that could take some notes from a Dale Coyne racing team, because they just keep plugging away, and they put competition out there on the track, and sometimes they get their drivers poached from them from larger teams, almost like they're the minor leagues of the IndyCar. Sometimes their guys are getting bigger contracts to go other places, go elsewhere, but. Respectable for what he's done with the, with not having the backing of McLaren or Penske.
Yeah, and I think that's where David Malukas came out of there. Yeah. DK had his return to, IndyCar last year with Dale. So, he's done well for the sport.
Well, it's going to take us a minute to get through this field of 27 or 25, depending on how you want to look at this with the Prema team. But let's start right off with we'll call them the Devlins. Those there at the bottom of the order. I had a tough time picking number 27 this year because Devlin's not in the field. But I think we had I picked a good replacement for that number 27. So, Dinwiddie, you've tabulated the results of the Checkered Shorts crew. Where are we at with 21 through 27?
Yeah. So, Keith, you and I both came up with number 27 the same. Pat did not. Pat didn't have the 2 Prema guys in his rankings, but he actually had one more below Stingray. Stingray Robb comes in at number 27 for us with our average He had an average of 26 on our field. So Stingray at 26. Next, we had the two Prima guys, Schwartzman at 26 and Ilott at 25. Next, we had a little bit of a disagreement here with Nolan Siegel. Nolan Siegel comes in at number 24. And then Kyle Collette at 23, Mick Schumacher at 22, and Dennis Hauger then at 21.
Ooh, come on.
Dennis Hauger. Keith felt really good about Hauger. He had
I
him
saw
ranked 17th on his
I was
list.
going rookie of the year there. I don't want to unveil one of my predictions for the prediction episode, but he's where I'm putting my money.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. I just it goes back to talking about Dale Coyne and his cars. They just they're not there, and you got a rookie. I know obviously know some of these tracks we're running, but he's dead last on my list for now. No disrespect. That's just how I kind of I redid this 3 times. So I wrote them down once, made another transfer, and then I did it again. So he was kind of always right there.
Well, you were even the one who said, "Are we doing 1 through 27?" And then you failed to list 2.
No,
I just figure the Prima guys will still finish more races than Stingray Robb does.
You're probably right. Even if they don't run.
Even if they don't run.
Fair enough. Yeah, I did not include Prima in mine. I don't think they're going to be playing ball, if you will. So we'll see.
Yeah. Pat, since you were talking, why don't you talk to us about Nolan Siegel, because you had Nolan at number 18. I think I have an inkling of why we had him at 24 and 26 respectively.
I think, well, one, it's put up or shut up year. Not that means anything for anything really. I think he's still good. He's still young. This is the year he has to produce. He does have a really good team. We've always said, put Connor Daly in a good car. Let's see what he can do. Put Renus in one of these top cars. Let's really see what he can do. So I think it's never been the equipment. I think he's just young and dumb, still learning how to race these things and how to race in general. I think it was it Milwaukee that he was out the first lap or so.
Yep.
So it's just those mistakes. Hopefully he can learn from them. That's more of a gut than it is anything, but I'd like to see the kid accomplish something. We need a 19-year-old star in this league for sure. So he's got the equipment. You got to mind your P's and Q's. You got to be the Dixon, man. Just stay clean, run top 10s. You're going to get a 26th. If you could get a top 5, it'd be really cool for him.
And then the other one that I kind of wanted to highlight, we all had Mick Schumacher in that 21 to 23. What are your expectations for Mick going on? Coming from Formula One, he's obviously got the name. They've made a lot of changes over at Ray Hall in the off season. So what do you see coming from Mick this year?
I'll start if you guys don't care.
Yep. No,
I've been watching some of the stuff for him with his practices and getting in laps, and I think the inexperience on ovals and the IndyCar's focus on ovals, I think oval racing is still a big deal in IndyCar. And I noticed when he did his oval testing on the interview afterward, he talked about how hard it was instinctually to go into those turns and not put your foot on the brake. And so if that's the case, how long is it going to take him to get up to speed? Because I think people may say, we don't believe this. We think the opposite, that, oval racing, all left-hand turns can be a little dull and boring, but they're just on the string, man, when they go around the track. And it takes some real courage and some real skill to hold in on those turns at the speed you have to finish well. And then, sometimes the high line is going to be the better line on track. And how, this young in his IndyCar season, is he going to be able to keep the gas to the floor and go into those turns the way you have to and run the lines the way you have to? Yeah,
that's it. I was going to kind of make a joke. You said put your foot on the brake. It's keep your foot on the gas too, not let up. You got to trust the cars, trust that it's going to stick, I think. I want him to do well. I want him, but I think it's a big crapshoot. RLL still has a lot to prove, just in general, with cars and engineering and mechanics and stuff like that. So I think they're making improvements, but just knowing RLL, that kind of puts you down at the bottom, in my opinion, just because of that.
Good points.
And I personally, I hate to say this because it is my team, or at least the driver. I think Siegel's just going to crumble under the pressure. He's 19 years old. Yeah. He's not going to be handled in 1 year done. He's going to have a wreck one day. He's going to, frustration and everything else. It's going to be a concussion protocol. There's going to be races he misses. I could just see some things happen that unravel. Unfortunate. But sometimes you get your start too early and your opportunity too early. And I'm afraid that's going to be the case for Nolan.
Yeah. And it's not like he's running with Dale Coyne again. We can bring that up. There's a much more pressure to run that third seat for a big name team. One of the biggest in racing in the world right now with Arrow McLaren. So, yeah, a lot of weight on those shoulders for sure.
I just didn't see him prove it in NXT before he got here, and he was good, but it wasn't like he was dominating. It wasn't like he put a Hauger performance together or a Rasmussen or
you're right.
One of those other guys. He was solid top 5 for a couple of years, a year and a half or whatever he was in NXT, but not enough that, would have gotten him that seat. The news coming out that he paid for that seat made a whole lot of sense.
Yep. Nope, you're right.
So I guess that brings us to the middle of the pack, guys. I mean, there's some guys that are going to be listed in this group that I think will both shock us and may surprise us and kind of bust our rankings, our preseason rankings, because there are talented drivers falling in here from 11 to 20. I'm sure of that. And there's going to be some people and fans that disagree with this potentially. But I think what I found when I was ranking these is the depth of the quality of drivers is getting better and better since I've become a fan.
These guys have to go somewhere. You know what I mean? Top 5, old top 5s have to go somewhere now. Whether they're still a top 5 or now they're 12th through 13th. This was the hardest section for me to kind of decipher. I think we could all probably get our 1, 2s, and 3s pretty darn close. Probably our top 5s, but this 10 through 20 or 11 through 20 is going to be. Yeah, this is where things get mixed up, I think.
It's interesting to hear you guys say that because actually we were pretty consistent in this group, other than a couple, and I'll toss those out after I run through these. So, in 20th, this was an interesting one for me because this is Mr. TBA. Roman Grosjean pops in the assumptions in the 20th spot. So we jumped a guy that doesn't even have a contract yet up into the 20 in the series. Okay. Next at 19 was Louis Foster. We just talked a little bit about Ray Hall. We'll come back to them. 18, Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah.
I know that he won't be pleased with that ranking. And then at 17, we have Graham Rahal. 16, I think we want to come back to this one, Kiffin Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Rossi at 15.
Yeah, well.
Santino at 14. Christian Rasmussen at 13. Mm-hmm. Renus at number 12. And Felix Rosenquist at number 11.
What stands out to me is I didn't want to put Rossi at a 15. And Graham, I don't know. Let's see where I put them exactly. I put Graham at 16 and I put Rossi at 17. So I'm kind of surprised that you two put them, looks like a little bit higher, but in that same ballpark. Everything indicates that Ed Carpenter's team's going to be great. Graham, I mean, you just hinted on or talked about it again. RLL made a lot of changes, but I think we got to wait and see what these teams are going to do. But they probably should technically be higher, but I don't know if they will.
Yeah. I'll take credit for that Rossi one. I put him at number 12. Keith had him at 15, which is where he ended up. You guys were very similar. I had him at number 12, and it really is about how confident he feels coming into this season. We saw what Rasmussen did last year in Milwaukee, so I just felt like that gave him an extra bump.
I think Rasmussen will be fine. He'll get a win, maybe two. Just we'll craft the bed.
Consistency.
Just craft the bed on the other races. I'm confident that he'll still be that driver we saw at the end of the season. Just not quite there yet, I don't think.
So I had Graham a little higher, and this is going. I don't want to unveil any bold type predictions, but for some reason, I got in my mind Graham Rahal winning the Freedom 250. He's better on road courses.
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot of preparation for a place like that, so it's going to be more to a veteran potentially. Some changes within the team and strategies, and then that idea of the Freedom 250 and the story of an American driver from Ohio potentially winning that race could be a cool story as well. And he's been pretty outspoken this offseason. I know you guys talk about that a lot, and maybe I've just seen more coverage of him or trying to pay more attention to some of his own media postings. But I think you either like him or you hate him type of thing, because he just says what he thinks. And I'm sure that comes from growing up in the sport. But I just got the suspicion that he's going to finish in the top 10 a few times like he always does. He's going to finish races like he always does, and then he's going to surprise us, maybe come away with the podium. And for me, it's at the Freedom 250.
Love it.
Well, Keith, keep rolling, because I want to ask you why you have Kiffin Simpson so far down. Keith, Pat and I had him at 13, 14, but you had him down actually in the bottom dweller category.
The Sunoco fuel guy.
Well, I think he falls in line with some of the guys you talk about before, which are he got pushed ahead of some of the other guys because of the money and the backing that he has. Sure. And so although he had a surprisingly solid season last year, can he build on that, or is he going to take a step back? A lot of times season over season, it's really hard to have that consistency. And it's definitely hard to improve in a field of a bunch of guys that are real quality and teams that are really good. And for some reason, I just see him maybe taking a step backward. And I think, as I was ranking these out, he's one of those guys that I put off to the side as I was ranking other guys. And I looked at the guys that I had in front of him. And, like Collette, I put him in front of him. I put Foster in front of him. I thought Foster gained a lot of speed last year, momentum towards the end of the season, where Kiffin Simpson, I thought he had some of his best success early and mid. So I don't know, rhyme or reason. At some point, you start to plug him in, and he could have probably been 14 to 17. But for me, I just saw potentially a step backward.
Okay. I'll jump in here with Renus. I think we're all big fans of Renus today and want him to be successful. Pat had him at number 8, which I thought that was pretty awesome. I had him at 16, and I am concerned about him being with Juncos. Juncos didn't perform last year. I know Connor did on the ovals, but I just don't know. I don't know how much of VK's success last year was Dale and how much of it was Renus himself. So, we were kind of all over the board, 16, 13, and 8 with our rankings there for Renus. So
he was 14th last season with, again, a Dale Coyne team. Not that Juncos is on the outside looking in way better. It could be very comparable, but hopefully it's a little bit better. They seem like they have just a tick ahead of the game. So, and he's a better driver than Connor and, Stingray Robb and these guys. So,
do they release details of the contracts? Like, how many of these are 1-year deals? How many of these?
They're usually very tight-lipped for some, which I don't get. These guys aren't making like NBA and NFL contracts. These guys might be making like the high end's $5 million a year sort of thing. So Renus is probably in the 2, maybe 1. I don't know. yeah, it's not big money compared to, but I don't know why they don't share it.
I got another bold prediction out of this thing. 2027, he's in a 1-year contract. Nolan Siegel's gone. He joins McLaren. And that's the team. I like that three-car lineup. If you take out Nolan and place VK in there, that's a heck of a team.
Think about it, when that was supposed to be Davy's spot. I mean, it's kind of off script here, but that was supposed to be Davy's spot. Broke his hand. Like, holy crap! Like, things would really be different if Davy was there for another pod. But yeah, I hope VK makes a little bit more noise and gets to a top tier team. Let's see what he can really do.
And I'm gonna be very respectful about this because you could probably knock me out, but I like Renus's wife too.
Yeah, it should kick your ass. Yeah. I forgot about that.
All right, you want to jump into the top 10?
Oh yeah, let's hear about our top dogs. Those guys that
top 10
generally rule the roost. The guys that walk a little taller on the grid. They got the cameras following most likely. You see the guy running up and down the lineup to interview them before the race. Who do we have in our top 10, Brian?
Top 10. All right, we'll start off our top 10 with the guy that you were just talking about, Pat. David Malukas cracks our top 10. Followed closely, we had actually a tie at the next at 8-9 with Marcus Armstrong and Christian Lundgaard. So
I think Marcus Armstrong should just change his number to 8 because that's where he just falls no matter what. He is the number 8.
Yeah, he finished 8th last year. Yeah.
Fine. We'll come back to this one. At number 7, we have the star of the IndyCar commercials so far this season, at Joseph Newgarden at number 7. Kyle Kirkwood came in at number 6. Scott Dixon, always, being Scott. He's at number 5. Will Power at number 4. And then our top 3 actually ended up, obviously, number 1, I think I can skip up and go there. We all know that Alex Palou is going to start the season as our number 1 power ranked. But at 2 and 3, we actually had a tie. Pato and Scott McLaughlin coming in at tied for second place. So thoughts there as you heard those rankings?
I mean, I guess for me, the shocking part, not shocking, the fun part to discuss is Scotty Mack taking a leap forward and then the reasons for that. I mean, I think we know that he's a damn good driver, and we know it seems like a damn good time. Is it because the bad luck wears off, or, some of those hiccups? And is it because of the addition to the teams?
Yeah. I think all that. I mean, he's still top 10. Not that that's great for Penske. He finished top 10 last season with a pretty terrible season. So you put Cindric in there, you put a little bit extra motivation. I mean, hell, he didn't finish the 500. Didn't get any points at the 500. So I think selfishly, I'm trying to make the storyline to where he can be running for the title and get up there. Obviously, you got to do something with Palou first, but I don't know if he's quite there. But he's fun to watch. He's charismatic. He's good for the sport. So it's more of a rooting for him, selfishly, to get him up there.
Yeah. Pat, you were the guy that had him at number 2. Keith and I had him at number 3. The shocker to me, because then that meant that Keith and I both had Pato at number 2. Pat, you had him at number 4. Oh, Mr. Award.
I love Pato. It's no disrespect, Keith. I think Power has a lot to prove, and Pato has to show it, just like some of these guys in the 11th through 20th spots. He's a good racer. He's going to win a couple. Hopefully he could win 3. That sets him up to get that second, third position. He's got to show that consistency. And I think last year he really did. And he even admitted it. He's like, hey, if a 17th place is all I'm going to get for a bad racing day, that's just what I got to get. And he has to go back to Scott Dixon. You have to be a Dixon. You just got to finish races no matter what. Can't have any open frames in the bowling game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Close out all the pins. So That's my thought process behind it.
Yeah. I'll jump in there because I did the same to Will Power. I had him at number 6 on my list.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You guys had him higher.
Yeah.
Maybe part of that is because I did that last year and Willie P proved me wrong and went out and did some great things. So, but yeah, I had Power at 6, which dropped him down into that 4th spot for us.
Sure.
What about, okay, let's go to Newgarden. I had him at number 4. I just feel like he is primed and ready, really motivated after what happened last year and even the previous year. He's had 2 rough years. I think he's ready. He finished the season strong, probably had, if not the best car, one of the best cars at the 500. Goes to Nashville, pretty much dominates that. We saw him dominate a couple other times and not just be able to finish it off. So I don't think the results were there for the way they drove last year. I think he's going to come back strong.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. The results. I just think he was a crybaby, and I think that's still like he got to get rid of that mentality and be a Scott McLaughlin and just race, have fun. You know what I mean? It's easier or harder than that, obviously, but that's just how I kind of still see it. You know, he wasn't doing interviews because of the bad season. And I don't know, this isn't really effective on him as a race car driver, but I picture it as the same kind of season. He still has that chip on his shoulder, whatever it is. And it's affecting him.
Yeah, I feel like the situation with him is not physical. It's not the car. He's obviously in one of the best teams, probably driving one of the top 3 cars in the series. They're searching for answers. That's a terrible place to be, but I'm afraid they're going to look at the last possible place because the answer is inside the helmet for him, I believe. And, you know, when you're on top, it's easy to be on top of your game. When you're slipping, trying to find the answers, if you don't have that, that resilience, and I'm not saying he doesn't have resilience. I mean, there's still a lot to prove. He's got a long career ahead of him and probably a continued great one. I just see the competitiveness of the field getting better and better all the time. And when we talked about the lack of parity over the last 2 seasons specifically, and really the last 3, I think the advantage to that, everyone having to play catch up gets everyone on the top of their game, as opposed to if it was week in and week out and you couldn't tell who was going to win.
Sure.
What is the motivation to get better? Chasing the rabbit, so to speak, in Palou is going to make all these guys desperate to get better. And so I see that creating more and more parity. And even last year, they got closer to catching the rabbit. So maybe this is the year where we see somebody else on top or someone take some of those podiums away from him. The thing about Palou is he wins a lot of races, but he also doesn't finish out of the top 5 very often.
Right.
And so if these guys that are in 2 to 10 can start chipping away at that, drawing closer to the back end of Palou and actually putting pressure on him, maybe we see some funny stuff happen here in the 2026 season.
It's a great point. I mean, yeah, you're chasing Palou, but you're also other guys are taking things away from what Newgarden would automatically be doing. So yeah, you're taking spots, taking positions, taking turns from Newgarden that used to be easy for him. No, that's a great point.
The people on the top 10 that they get me, they're not shiny. They're not they're not the most attractive driver. They're not the shiny coin you catch on the side of the road with your eyes. But Kyle Kirkwood, I mean, he started off like on fire last year, but then he really didn't necessarily slip. He just got back to what I would consider to be his median average racing. So the question there is, can he put together longer than 1/3 of a season where he's one of the upper echelon drivers? But you just know he's going to be there. Seems like a really good working team behind Kyle, and he seems like a real down-to-earth guy who's going to put in the work, be level-headed about things. But the question is, can he put together that 3 parts of the season, everything pre-Indy 500 and then those things just after, and then the final stretch. And can he finish stronger than what he did last year?
I agree, and I wonder what Colton not being there will do to him. I think they were good teammates, and I don't know how the Kirkwood power connection is going to be.
Yeah, this top 10, the only person that we have added to this top 10 from last top 10 is Newgarden. Everybody else was Davey was 11th, but if you take Colton out,
well, if we learned anything from the 2026 season, Will Power will push Kyle Kirkwood to perform, because he did push him around the track in practice at Detroit. And who won the race? Who won that race in Detroit?
I believe that was Kyle, right?
I believe it was Kyle Kirkwood. So, hey, maybe that's the magic recipe. You just need to have Will Power pushing you around the track like a wheelbarrow.
Yeah. I'm looking at Pato was second, but 196 points. So top 10 or not, you're second, still far ways away. You got to catch the master first, even get a little bit closer. So hopefully,
I feel like sometimes Palou does his work. I mean, obviously he's consistent throughout, but he builds such a big lead.
Yeah.
And then you're playing defense from here out the rest of the season. You know, if you take it to a football analogy, you jump out to a 3-score lead in the first half. Second half, all you got to do is come out and play defense. And it's going to take some of these teams, and probably a collection of all of them, to chip away at that first third of the season where Palou's just not owning.
Yeah, you got to get him looking in the rearview mirror a little bit more than he was. He's almost perfect, but not quite. He'll, if you're 10 points behind him, let him make a mistake, sort of thing.
And I don't know, does that team focus more on the quals? I mean, obviously they're all concerned about the quals, but that team puts himself in a position week in and week out to where they can get out in the clean air. They can make hay based off the qualifications. And some of these teams where they qualify is more inconsistent than how they actually race on race day.
Correct. Yeah. Let's face it. If you qualify 10th, you're probably not winning that race on a road course. If it's just a race strategy, not fuel games and not tire games. So yeah, if you can get them back in a 10th spot, some gamesmanship probably in the qualifying performances of when you go out, when you don't go out, just to maybe slow Palou down just a little bit more. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's good talking points for sure.
All right. You guys have anything else for our driver rankings 2026 preseason?
Nope. We'll get them listed on our social medias so you guys can review and scrutinize and agree or disagree. See what you think. Grid Rivals is up and running. We'll get that link out again if we haven't already, and join that. I'll share this on.
It'd be a lot of fun to have 20 plus people competing in our league. So
it'd be way more.
Correct. Yeah. Click that link, join. It's really easy. It's not like some of the other fantasy where you're spending a bunch of time. Pretty much I can set my team on a Thursday or Friday during or after quals. You're not spending a lot of time, but then it makes race day that much more fun. And then after the race, you have something to do as well, which is to see the impact of your team and where you fall in the rankings on Grid Rivals.
And it's the official fantasy of IndyCar, I believe. So even more reason to do it. So good episode, boys. I like the discussion. That
was fun. That was fun. Going through all the drivers, going through the lineup was a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us for episode 51. We'll be right back with you for 52 shortly. We're going to try to stick to a new schedule for the 2026 season where we release on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That way, middle of the year week, we're set in between waiting, after a race for the upcoming race, give you some IndyCar fix. So start looking for our podcast to be ready and to go on Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings for your commute to work.
Sure. Thank you all.
Thanks for joining us.
See ya.